Good evening and welcome to Up South. It's day 3 after the devastating earthquake in Nepal that has killed more than 3,700 people. The magnitude of the tragedy is making rescue and relief operations in the quake-hit Himalayan kingdom that much more difficult. On Up South this Monday evening, we speak to survivors from South India who managed to get out of Nepal in time and get back to the safety of their home. Also, one of India's best-known earth scientists, Dr. Harsh Gupta, will be joining us on Up South to give a perspective. Now, Akshay from Bengaluru had gone to Kathmandu to attend a tattoo convention. He's a tattoo artist, but now that he is back home in Bengaluru, he now plans to actually get a tattoo made of a building with cracks because he wants to immortalize and remember that experience of his life for life.
In the morning around 11:15 to 11:30, at that point of time we felt a slight tremor. We thought some ceremony is going on, and later on the electricity was cut off. Then the building started shaking, the chandelier started to move very rapidly. For about 30 to 45 seconds we were inside the building, experiencing the tremor, unable to know what to do. Just get out or just stay under the roof or something. Then after like about a minute or so, the tremor slightly stopped and we just ran out of the building, and we were in front of the hotel, secured. That's it. So
But the fact that you're saying about swaying and the tremors that were being felt, but when you all came out, did you see any damages? Did you see how any kind of rescue work was happening immediately after, when people, or did people take time to realize that it was an earthquake and then they started?
Once we were in the hotel, we got to know that it's an earthquake because it was very intense. The first tremor itself was very intense. It's about 7.9 Richter scale. The hotel staff guided us out of the hotel, and later on they didn't allow us to get inside the hotel. We all gathered in out for every about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, the tremor was happening mildly, and we could see the building cracked up. There was a whole heritage hotel actually, Yakin convention, that place, yeah.
And how did you all get yourselves to the airport? What was the kind of transportation, and were the officials from Nepal and in Indian Embassy people helpful?
Actually, we stayed in the hotel till about the evening. Once the tremor was stopped, in the evening it stopped for a while. Then we had to go to our hotels, pick up the luggage, and we just had to leave to the airport. The transportation was done by ourselves. No one was included. Once we reached the airport, we got to know that there were special flights arranged from the Indian Embassy, and we waited in the queue and we got back.
Waited in the queue, but the queue must have been really long. Was it
very long? It was very, very long. There were about more than 400-500 people easily, as good as I see. There were even more people, I guess, in the queue.
Right, so Akshay was one of the most lucky people who actually managed to get out of Kathmandu in time, because there are so many of them, thousands of people, both Indians and various other foreign tourists, who are still waiting for a ticket back home at the Kathmandu International Airport. Now let's get in an expert view on what actually is happening in that Himalayan kingdom. Dr. Harsh Gupta, one of India's best known earth scientists, joins me from Hyderabad. Dr. Harsh Gupta, for the benefit of our viewers, explain to us what really is happening beneath the earth, why there are so many aftershocks, and is the worst really over as far as Nepal is concerned?
Okay, it's pretty well established that Indian plate broke off from Antarctica some 150 million years ago, and it moved north-northeast and collided with Eurasia some 50 million years ago. And since it is a continental collision, that gave rise to the Himalayan earthquake belt. Now what happens that the movement is continuing, and this creates strains, and whenever the strains exceed the strength of the rock, the earthquakes occur. So this continues, and we had a very active phase from 1997 to 1950, when we had 4 earthquakes of magnitude 8 and larger. So since 1950 nothing like that has happened, and enough strains have been accumulated to give rise to 4 or 5 such earthquakes. Now this earthquake which occurred on day before yesterday is magnitude 7.8. So it is not really one of those earthquakes which are magnitude 8 or larger, but it is the largest earthquake to have occurred in this region since 1950. Now all these earthquakes have aftershocks, The aftershocks of the 1950 Assam earthquake continued for almost 4 years. And it had an aftershock on 18th of November 1951, which had a magnitude of 8. So I'm not surprised with the aftershocks which are occurring. I cannot say that the worst is over. I can only say that anything bigger than what happened day before yesterday is not likely to happen. The aftershocks will be of the kind of 6.5, 6.6, 6.8, something like that.
Right. Dr. Gupta, the intensity of the earthquake this time in Nepal has made everyone worry about the possibility of an earthquake in many parts of India. We do know that cities like the capital city of India, Delhi, is in the earthquake-prone region. But how vulnerable is south of the Vindhyas? We did see the killer earthquake in Latur in the early 90s, and Latur is just about 5 hours from Hyderabad.
Okay, you know what happens that in the south part of India, where you mentioned about Latur, our preparedness is not there at all. So whenever an earthquake occurs, we are taken by a surprise. Also, unlike the Himalayan belt where earthquakes occur with a regularity, in the Shield region earthquakes don't occur that regularly. So wherever Latur earthquake has occurred, that becomes sort of a safe place because no other earthquake may occur for many hundred years here. We had done some investigations to find when was the previous earthquake before the Latur earthquake, and we found that the previous earthquake occurred some 1500 years ago. So the good point is that the estimate is that the largest earthquake in the Shield region would not exceed magnitude 6.8. So that gives us some confidence that it will not be as bad as what happens in Himalaya.
Right. Dr. Harsh Gupta, stay on with us. We also have tales of people who are missing. We did see the story of the survivor Akshay, who is back home in Bengaluru, but there is 27-year-old Nilima, who is a software engineer and also a Bharatanatyam dancer, who had gone on this mountaineering expedition to the Himalayas and has been reported missing. She has not been able to establish contact with her parents back home here in Hyderabad. Of course, the Mountaineering Association of India in Bengaluru said that they had established contact with the group of mountaineers, but her father here in Hyderabad could not speak to Nilima. Now, as per the last communication with her, she was somewhere near a village called Digboche on her way to the Everest base camp, and her worried parents have now requested Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj and also Prime Minister Narendra Modi to help rescue their daughter. Now, my colleague Rohini Swamy also is with another survivor who also managed to come back home to Bengaluru, and this is what he has to say. Rohini, over to you, what he has to say.
Well, we've been hearing horrifying tales of, but more importantly, positive tales of survival. Here I am with Professor Chandrasekhar. He's a mathematics professor. You had been there to Kathmandu. You were part of a touring visit over there. But tell us the experience you had. You were alone in your room when this whole earthquake happened.
Yeah, I was alone in the room. I was not well. I asked other troop people, I will be inside the room. You go and come. Then it was around 10:30 or so. When I was asleep, just I had a I was taking rest. Mean that I heard a huge sound along with vibrations. This vibration was so huge. Then the fan was oscillating and there was a huge sound and this vibration. I held the cot tightly. Then it was so much vibration. Then I through the screen. I saw the people were running. And from the overhead tank the water was falling down. A lump of water was falling down, and meanwhile that this tank itself fell down. Then I thought this earthquake must be very serious. This must be the last moment for me. Then meanwhile, after seeing the people running, I also started running. I came down the hotel and started along with the people. I found that the hotel there was a huge crack along the wall. And
a huge crack along the wall. Is that when you decided to go and you said you were standing by the roadside because you did not know what to do? You were all alone and your family rest of the part of the group had gone sightseeing.
Yes. I could not communicate with them and I was alone there. I was so much afraid, and the people were running with children, and the people were running on either side, not one side. The flow was on either side. I could not make a way. And meanwhile that this vendors, this fruits and all fell down on the road. And we will have to pass that one, and I went to the main road and sat on the footpath. Then there was one more vibration was there, but it was not huge. But I thought that it must nearby there was an electric pole. Then I must not sit here. Then I crossed that road and went that side and sat on the compound. Again, third time I saw that vibrations, and by that time the huge gathering was there in that ground.
Yes.
It was lakhs of people. I
But
think
when did you get to communicate with the rest of your group, and when did you all manage to go to the airport? Who took care of your transportation?
No transportation to
To the airport.
airport. Afterwards, they came around 3 o'clock. Our people came around 3 o'clock. They found me in the ground, and I was laying down on the sand bed because there was some sand was there, and I was taking rest there. And they found me. Afterwards, there was an announcement that people that those people were having hearing that this radio, and they were telling that there will be another huge earthquake will be around 4:20. Then we waited up to 4:20. There was 4:20. There was one more vibration was there, and it was not that much huge. Then afterwards we decided to go away. We will not stand here, and then we managed to go to the airport.
From the airport, you all managed to finally arrive in Bangalore safely.
Yeah.
But your traumatic experience that is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have to ask you this question: will you think of traveling again?
Yes, it is a very great experience. Meanwhile, when I think that it may not happen every time, this it is only unique. It is just
It's an experience of a lifetime.
natural disasters are not predicted, but it may be one time. But at present we have got that fear,
Yes.
and trauma is there, but
Yes.
it may not be true always.
He has arrived only this afternoon after this traumatic experience, and he's also still now reeling under that. But more importantly, he's thanking his stars that he's home safe along with his family.
Absolutely, Rohini. Thanks a lot for joining us there on Up South. But of course, there was choreographer Vijay from Guntur district of Andhra Pradesh who was killed in the earthquake in Nepal. In fact, he and his shooting crew had only reached Nepal on Friday, just a day before the earthquake struck, and they were traveling to Kathmandu in the wee hours when tragedy struck, and he along with other crew members were trapped in the quake-hit Himalayan country. The vehicle in which they were traveling, it overturned due to rain and the aftershocks. 3 others were injured, but Vijay, who is a choreographer, a young choreographer and actor of just 25 years, he did not survive that earthquake. Dr. Harsh Gupta, my final question to you: does it worry scientists like you who have been working in this area for a very, very long time? Does it worry countries including India are still not able to predict earthquakes efficiently?
You see, it does not worry me, because what is more important is to protect ourselves from the effects of earthquakes. And the earthquake prediction is not there. It is not there for Japan. It is not there for any other country. But many countries have done much better than the rest of the world. In Japan, you had a magnitude 9 earthquake on 11th of March 2011, which killed only 20,000 people. The other extreme is this, that in 2010 in Haiti, you had a magnitude 7 earthquake, which killed 300,000 people. So it's all the question of how about earthquakes. We know where earthquakes would occur. We know how to combat them. We know how to really protect ourselves from earthquakes. Only question is that there has to be a will and a method of implementing the latest techniques of saving ourselves from earthquakes.
In the Jayalalithaa disproportionate assets case will be out on or before the 12th of May. That will be delivered by the Karnataka High Court, where the case was being heard and the trial stage is over and now the verdict is awaited. This was after the Supreme Court, in a significant judgment, said that though the appointment of Public Prosecutor Bhavani Singh was bad in law, yet it will not actually suggest a retrial, which means by the time Jayalalitha's bail period ends on the 12th of May, the verdict should be out. But the Supreme Court also significantly asked the judge in the Karnataka High Court to accept DMK leader Anbargan's written submissions before pronouncing the verdict. This is what the DMK chief Karnanidhi said.
மிகப்பெரிய வெற்றி கிடைக்கவில்லை. இது முதல் வெற்றி என்று சொல்லலாம்.
Now from Chennai, senior journalist R. Mani, also my colleague Shisha Reddy joins me, and with her is also C. Rajshekharan, a person known for his pro-Jayalalithaa leanings. Mr. Mani, if I may come to you first, the DMK is quite delighted at what has been observed by the Supreme Court. Do you see a sense of worry in the Jayalalithaa camp?
Absolutely, Jayalalithaa under camp are every reason for getting worries. You see, the DMK has been allowed by the Supreme Court to submit its written submissions in this case in Karnataka High Court, and accordingly they have submitted their 81-page written submissions by noon today. And the Supreme Court 3-judge bench has, in indirect words, has pulled up the appointment of Bhavani Singh, and it said that only Karnataka has the legal authority to appoint so. Moreover, 2-3 paragraphs of the judgment clearly gave indirect instructions to the Karnataka High Court judge who is hearing the case to treat this case with an utmost care and utmost concentration. So I think that today's development is definitely a setback for Jayalalithaa and her party.
Shisha, you heard what Mr. Mani has to say. This is also how it is being interpreted in the DMK camp. How is the AIDMK camp and the Jayalalithaa camp actually reacting to this order of the Supreme Court?
Well, Sudhir, as far as what Mani was also pointing out, of course, it is a setback for the AIDMK. And having said that, the DMK has got a strong foothold in this particular case. And the AIDMK camp is not with whatever that has been happening. And I'm now joined by lawyer C. Rajashekaran. Sir, what do you interpret from this? You are a strong Jayalalithaa supporter. So is there some sort of a sense of despair as far as the AIDMK is concerned?
See, it is not a setback, first and foremost. The Honorable Supreme Court, with its wisdom, have passed an order, and they have directed the Karnataka High Court to go and deal the case on merits. So there ends the matter. It is nothing to speculate on this order and attribute so many things to it is not acceptable. And it is neither a victory too. We have to wait and see what is the outcome of the Karnataka High Court's order, and then only we can celebrate if the case is acquitted. And we have to wait and see with a positive mind. You have to wait and see. The case must be acquitted on merits because it is a foisted case by the DMK, and you cannot attribute everything to DMK saying that they are the most good people and Dr. Jayalalithaa has committed wrong. It is purely a political motivated case, and it is a foisted case, and it has to be dealt on merit. The Honorable Supreme Court has done a wonderful order, and they have pronounced a wonderful order, and they have said deal this case on merits. That means it is a very good meritorious case to be looked on. Only merits, not politicize the whole issue. So
Shisha, Shisha, if I may get in, Mr. Mani, at this point in time, now the Supreme Court has said that the appointment of Bhavani Singh was bad in law. It has also asked the judge to ignore the arguments put forth by Bhavani Singh. Now that's quite a slap in the face as far as the Tamil Nadu government is concerned, Mr. Mani.
Yes, absolutely, you are right. It is a reprimand of the Tamil Nadu government by the Apex Court. The very first paragraph of the order says that by appointing Bhavani Singh, the Tamil Nadu government has acted with an anxiety, anticipating certain things. These are all very harsh words. More than that, the Supreme Court has in fact gave an advice of sorts to the Karnataka High Court Judge, Justice C.R. Kumarasamy, that he should pronounce the verdict by taking into consideration that corruption is the biggest issue facing the country and affecting everyone in society today. And it's also said that the order should be in such a way that it should be a reasonable one and explanatory in nature. So these are all very harsh words, and in my experience I can say that I have not come across this sort of harsh order by the Supreme Court in a case involving one of the top leaders of the country.
Right. Of course, even the PMK has asked for Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Paneerselvam's resignation after the observations made by the Supreme Court. Mr. Mani, Shisha Reddy and C. Rajashekaran, thanks a lot for joining us on Up South. That's it then on Up South this Monday evening. News and updates will continue on Headlines Today.